All right, guys, welcome back. So if you're new here, make sure to hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me out a whole lot, especially if you learn something. So either way, we're going to be talking about a day that we had up here on one of my home lakes, and it's kind of a little different. Okay, so it's one of those days where we show up and we're just trying to figure out something new. We're going to new areas that we haven't fished before, and just trying to kind of figure out what the fish want, like your typical day that you would have on your home lake. Well, this day was a little bit different. We got on a good chatterbait bite. So I'm not one of those people that fish chatterbaits all the time. There's specific scenarios when I fish with chatterbaits. Now, I'm not saying you can't catch them year round, because obviously you can on a chatterbait, but me, I'm going to give you my whys. Why did I swap to the chatterbait and why I'm using it the way that I'm using it? And then the guy that went with me going to give you a breakdown of the chatterbait he was using, because we were running two different chatterbaits. So stay tuned. This is something you don't want to miss. All right, guys, so to give you a breakdown of the day, so basically we show up and we're like, hey, we're gonna fish something completely different than we normally do up here. So, you know, we're not rotating points and all that good stuff. We're just looking for something different. And we get on this stretch and the channel bend kind of breaks around. If you get what I mean by the channel bend, like we have a curve back behind me, and that's where the channel, that's where the deepest part of this part of the creek is. It swings up against that bank. But we had shade. We had some areas with grass. We had some areas with, you know, big chunk rock, and we had some areas with gravel. And seeing all this and this wind just flooding in, that was the main factor, was the wind. The wind's pushing like crazy. So with that being the case, we're throwing several different baits. I can't even remember exactly what we were throwing, but my gut feeling kept telling me, throw a chatterbait, throw a chatterbait. So I pick up a chatterbait and start throwing it. Within what, 4 or 5 casts, get bit, 4 or 5 more casts, get bit, and then we're like, oh, okay, so we got something going on. So here's what we did. I took my setup. This is the cheapest setup you could known to mankind. Okay, this is a 7-foot medium action Berkeley cherrywood. I got this rod for like 20 bucks. So if you got a Dunham's in your hometown, you can probably pick one up there for 20 bucks. Okay, this is the Daiwa CC80. CC80. It's like a $60 reel, and I've got 50-pound braided line on this, and I'm running the jackhammer chatterbait. And yes, this is an expensive chatterbait, but now I have a reason that I buy the jackhammer, and I have a reason why I buy the other one. We're gonna get to the other one here in a minute, but either way, this chatterbait in particular, the jackhammer here, if you look at the side of the head, you can see those marks where the blade has kind of been ticking it. And that's why this jackhammer is so notorious for catching fish. The blade ticks the side of the head, and it creates a different sound. It just creates a different sound. Now, one feature with chatterbaits that I want you to understand, when you're running a chatterbait on braided line like I'm running it, it will give the bait a different action, okay? And it's gonna have a harder thump as it comes through the water because it's keeping it tighter, and it's gonna run more straight and true, okay? If you run it on fluorocarbon, it's gonna have a different action. If you run it on monofilament, it's gonna have a different action. Monofilament, Spur Mountain Outdoors, the guy y'all see fish with me all the time, Spur Mountain, when he runs a chatterbait, he's throwing his on monofilament. Now, his chatterbait's typically wandering. It will wander, you know, off to the side and stuff like that. Braided line is going to run true. Fluorocarbon, it's going to kind of wander just a little bit, but it's not very noticeable, and it's not going to give it that hard thump. So if you're running braided line and your buddy's running fluorocarbon and he's getting bit on the same chatterbait you're throwing and you're not getting bit, or he's catching fish and you're not catching fish, you may want to swap, okay? And it could be simple stuff as far as, you know, you're running 20-pound fluorocarbon, he's running 12-pound fluorocarbon, he's getting bit and you're not getting bit. It can be line diameter, all that stuff has to factor in when it comes to chatterbaits. It's one of the reasons I don't run a chatterbait a whole lot. Because sometimes it's really hard to dial fish in on them. But what I'm doing is I'm throwing the jackhammer. This is the white and chartreuse. I would suggest getting 3 colors. Talking about the chatterbaits that I would suggest buy, these are the 3 colors I would suggest to buy that I've used everywhere, and they work everywhere. So you've got the white and chartreuse that we just talked about, standard color, right? And then you've got a green pumpkin. I would suggest getting a green pumpkin. And then you have got the red and black. Now, Why would I choose one color over the other? The white and chartreuse is typically going to be if I'm on that deep shad pattern. They're very, very focused in on shad, and I want to mimic the shad the best of my abilities. The green pumpkin is going to be super clear water. Maybe they're not focusing on shad. Maybe I'm focusing on the fish that are focused on brim, or they're focused on crawfish or something like that. Then I'm going to swap to the green pumpkin. Now, that doesn't mean if you're on a shad pattern that the fish that are around won't eat the green pumpkin either. So, you know, you kind of have to play around with those two colors. But this one's the big key. This is one that I run a lot during spring. So we get those heavy rains coming in, right? And the water just muddies up. And y'all know I love throwing a river rat spinnerbait, and I'm gonna throw it over this if I can. But sometimes this vibrating jig, this jackhammer right here, is perfect for those muddy water situations. Now, my trailers, they're gonna be a little bit different. We're fixing to go over. So on that first chatterbait that we were talking about, this white and chartreuse, okay? One of the things that I found today that worked perfect, and they're pretty high, $6.49 I paid for this pack, the Crush City freeloaders. So, you know, they're Paula Crush City freeloaders. Just button it right up to the jackhammer, throwing it out there and reeling it. Sometimes I'll burn it a little bit, sometimes I'll twitch it a little bit. But when they hit it, they hit it. And the freeloader's got a really good action to it. So that little tail kind of flips so fast, it actually kind of looks like a fishtail just moving super quick. So that seemed to be like the perfect setup for today. Okay, and the reel that I'm running, I think it's 7.5 to 1. Yeah, 7.5 to 1 gear ratio. The way I can catch up, I'm moving really fast. I mean, the stretch that we covered, I mean, most people, it took them 4 or 5 hours to fish. We fished it in what, about an hour and a quarter, something like that. So either way, you know, we're covering water quickly, efficiently, and we're catching multiple fish. I don't know how many fish we caught down that bank, but some great nice ones y'all see in the video. So 7-foot medium heavy, 7.3 to 1 gear ratio, 13 fish in origin, 14-pound fluorocarbon. 14-pound fluorocarbon. And then this right here, this is the other chatterbait that I run. He owes me like 20 bucks for, because I think it was $5 a fish that he $5 a fish to rent it. Yeah, to rent it. But either way, this is the Booyah Melee vibrating jig. And I know what you're thinking. It's got this weird, crazy head on it. This was a bait designed by Zell Rowland, one of the guys that worked with Impulse Rods, who I used to be affiliated with. And, you know, he's a great fisherman. He's a power fisherman. He loves to cover water. And I had to give this bait a try once it released. And basically, it's got a little bit different of a thump. But now, if you look at the side of the bait here, you can see where it's whited out, where that blade's actually hitting the side of the bait, and it puts off a different sound, and it's a little bit more subtle action bait. But a lot of times it triggers a lot of, you know, bites. So what I would suggest, you know, if you get on a good chatterbait bite, do like we did today. Have 2 different setups until you really get them dialed in. I was catching some off mine. I missed a lot off mine. The one that he was running, I don't think you missed a fish that bit. So, you know, they were typically more keyed in on this bait right here than they was on mine. I was getting bit, but I missed a lot of it. I caught a lot of fish, but I still missed a lot of fish. Every fish that bit this, they had it. But now the trailer that he's running, this is the Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Crawl, green pumpkin. And, you know, I suggest just running any crawl that you can, you know, something that's going to go through the water very fluent, especially on the green pumpkin, especially on that, you know, that red or orange chatterbait. When that water gets muddy, use something that, you know, you can move efficiently and effectively. But guys, if the video helps you, make sure to like, subscribe for more content. I got you covered when it comes to anything bass fishing. If you got any questions, drop a comment down below. You know, I love to talk fishing with you guys. Also, we got merchandise, so, you know, new shirts, you want to look good, new duds, new hats, all kinds of stuff. Go to my Facebook, go to my Instagram, go to my TikTok, hit me up, let me know what shirt you're interested. If you want one with just plain logos, that's cool, I can hook you up on that. But either way, guys, so let's talk about the video sponsor real quick. This helps me out a whole lot, helps those guys out a whole lot. Go to Thunderhawk Lures, especially if you need some new rods right now. They got the Limit 5 rods. They're $100 a piece, really good rods. You can use code CPOSY20 and you'll get 20% off. They want to give you 20% off on your order. It helps me out, helps those guys out, really good people. Either way, I'd appreciate it if you support those guys. I'll see you next time.